Vacancy is your biggest expense. A property manager is probably the steward of your wealth. When you think about it, a property, like your house, for example, in most cases, or the average American family, the house is the greatest asset that they own. So if you find yourself needing money, a natural thing to do is to rent your home. So when you think about it, the property manager, who is that person who facilitates the renting of your home and the collection of the rent, and in essence controls the performance of your rental, is essentially the steward of your wealth, or at least of your biggest asset in a lot of cases. The majority of people who rent their houses are mom and pop landlords, small 1-unit owners, 2-unit owners. Those are the ones that really need the property manager, or at least the property management services the most, because a lot of them don't have the sophistication or the knowledge to be able to actually execute on a rental property in an optimized way. Most people kind of just fall into it because they need the cash. They don't really know what they're doing. They try to find a tenant. In most cases, they don't really screen the tenant. There's no application process. There's no systems. There's no nothing. They kind of stumble through it, and then they find that their property either doesn't cash flow well enough or they just get kind of burned out. So property managers are the stewards of that asset. A good property manager, at least, understands that the performance of that asset is the number one goal, and to create and put in place the systems necessary to be able to maximize that goal. Tenant screening, proper leasing, expense management, understanding that maintenance and repairs can make or break the investment if they get out of hand. Being able to manage the tenants effectively, the owners effectively. There's multiple personalities involved in this relationship. We do everything from leasing, which is the placement of the tenant, the advertising of the vacancy, the doing of all the showings, the process of eliminating unfavorable applicants and zeroing in on the most favorable applicants, and ensuring that we put the best possible person in that property, which is your greatest investment. That's the beginning or the initial stage of a property manager's job, and that could make or break the relationship. If you put in somebody who's bad, not a good tenant, not a good fit, that will lead to greater problems in the future. If you put a lot of effort up front into leasing, ensuring that you have the best possible applicants and you accept the best possible applicants, then the rest should be, in theory, smooth sailing. And then just the rent collection and the ensuring that the property gets taken care of, doing regular inspections of the properties to ensure that the tenants are taking care of the properties. That's another key aspect of it, to ensure that for the duration of that lease, the property is being taken care of. If not, the big risk is that you find yourself with a vacancy and then a unit that needs to be completely renovated because the tenants just have not been taking care of it. And the security deposit that you collected up front is never enough to cover that unit turn. So if we get into the units regularly, we can kind of get ahead of any potential problems and sort of minimize that back-end cost of having to turn a unit when you have a vacancy. Vacancy is your biggest expense. You want to keep your units full as much as possible. If it's the difference between getting a $25 increase and losing that tenant, keep them at the same rate, keep them, because it's going to cost you a lot more than that $25 to fill that vacancy. If you're thinking about it at a high level and from an annual basis, we just want to make sure that we keep your units full at all times, minimize that vacancy time, get it down to 0 if possible. If you can get a tenant in there that stays forever, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, then that's excellent. But that's really the way we look at it. Is the way we ensure that we perform is by looking at that vacancy and trying to minimize it as much as possible. That's your biggest expense. And then on the back end, it's just expense management. Make sure that the tenants are taking care of the property. Don't allow them to destroy the property. If they clog the toilets, if they break the AC, they need to be held accountable to make sure that they take care of everything. But it's really not that complicated. A lot of people make it very complicated. Of course, when you start getting into the larger unit counts, then it becomes more of a business, and it does a kind of a side gig, which is when people start to get overwhelmed, and then that's when they call a property manager. we have the systems, we have the softwares, we have the processes, we have the people in place to be able to manage large amounts of units at scale. And then because of that, we're able to kind of drive down the cost because of our economies of scale. So we have a large portfolio that we manage. Therefore, we can offer you the property management services at a pretty affordable price because of the economies of scale.